Hey everybody, quick video today. I just want to talk about this great new video that I watched on Netflix. It's called Money Explained, and specifically I want to talk about their last video in the docuseries, Retirement. This video is a little bit different than what I usually do. I just watched this great new episode called Retirement in their Money Explained docuseries on Netflix. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to check it out. I'm going to put a link down to it below. But I loved this because, as you probably saw from the thumbnail, thinking about your older self and the psychology behind envisioning what you're going to be like in 10, 20, 30 years. There's a lot of interesting components to that thought process. And of course, in my world, I want to tie that to, what does that mean when it comes to financial planning and retirement planning? And specifically, in this video on Netflix, they talk about when you see a picture of what you could look like in 30 years or when you go to retire, that changes your thought process about what you're doing today. And that's what I want to start with, is that psychology behind investing. We're so used to this, immediate gratification. If we order something online, we expect it to be here in 2 days or less. Or if we're trying to achieve something at work, we want to see those results immediately. And retirement planning, it's a much more thought out and longer process. You have to take all these tiny incremental steps towards achieving this really big goal somewhere in the future. And we're human. We're hardwired to take care of what we need to take care of right now and maybe procrastinate about those things that seem way off in the distance. And that procrastination, that can sneak up on us. So what I loved about the movie or this video on Netflix is they talked about that psychology and how to kind of hack the way that you think about the future. But when I talk about how this can apply to you, and this is something that you can easily do, download an app, upload a picture of your face, and then you can create this older image of yourself. Does that create this new maybe outlook on what retirement planning should look like for you? The next thing that I loved about Money Explained is the fact that they talk about how the idea of retirement, it's relatively new to society in general. And specifically when we look at retirement planning over the last 100 years in the US, it's drastically changed. It wasn't that long ago, 100 years ago, or less than 100 years ago, Social Security was created. And this was this radically new idea that when you worked for a long time, you should be able to stop working and then enjoy life for a period. What I found in the docuseries, they point out that life expectancy was a lot shorter back when Social Security was created. So the idea of retirement was, you work and then you live for a few more years and hopefully you get to enjoy those years at home doing what you love to do or maybe doing a little traveling. But all of a sudden this idea of Social Security came in. And then on top of that, previous generations got to build their wealth kind of on autopilot through a pension plan at their employer. And the idea of a pension, this guaranteed income stream that you didn't have to plan for, your employer's gonna plan for it, that combined with Social Security, that set up a lot of people for a pretty comfortable retirement. And all of that shifted, all of that changed in 1980 with the creation, or as the docuseries kind of points out, the discovery of the 401k. And all of a sudden, people could take advantage of this let's call it legal loophole in retirement savings, and they could put retirement on their own shoulders and start planning for how they want to save for retirement. It sounds great when you say it like that, but the other way to think about it is how the employer saw the 401k. Employers saw this as a way to stop offering a pension. They saw this as a way to save money, ultimately, and that put a lot of responsibility on the individual to save for their own retirement. And this huge shift from pensions to 401ks, it took a few years, it took a few decades for us to really understand how much responsibility that really is. I love the idea that they really do point out this monumental shift in how retirement planning was different before 1980s, before the 401k. And I actually wrote this article, Generation 401k, I'll put a link to it down below that I encourage you to read, that kind of talks about how this mentality shift, it took a while for us to understand exactly what it meant for our own responsibilities. Another great topic that this docuseries talked about was just this retirement savings gap that seems to be widening and widening for previous generations and for future generations. But it's projected that by the time the millennial generation goes to retire, there's going to be this $100 trillion gap in terms of how much they should have saved, but how much they didn't. And that's, that's a concern. As the American economy continues to grow, we need to make sure that if we truly do want to retire, if we want to stop working and we want to achieve financial independence at some point, that means we have to have enough money saved. That's the question that everybody wants answered, is how much do you need? How much do you have to have saved for retirement so that you can stop working? Unfortunately, there is no golden rule that applies to everybody. That number is different, and it does take careful planning and also understanding, what you envision retirement to be, because that's the thing. Retirement, it's different for every individual. Retirement could mean traveling the world, or it could be doing a passion project, or creating something in your retirement years. The costs associated with everyone's goals, that's going to be different, and that means that everyone needs to save a different amount. Now, the docuseries on Netflix, it points out that a middle-class American should try to target saving at least $1 million by the time they want to retire in their early 60s. And that's, that's a nice kind of rule of thumb, so to speak. But again, that number is totally different for everybody, depending on your situation, depending on what your cost of living is, and depending what you want to do in retirement. But again, I love this docuseries. It's great if you're just getting out of college and you want to learn about retirement planning, or maybe you've been in your career for 20, 30 years and you kind of wanted to see, what does retirement planning really mean from a psychological standpoint, and then also just from a math standpoint. Check it out. I'll put a link down to it below. And of course, if you have any questions around your specific situation, don't hesitate to reach out, put something on my calendar, or shoot me an email or give me a call. My name is Alan Hensley. I'm a wealth advisor here at Merriman Wealth Management. And hopefully, if you like this video, check out my other videos that talk about IRAs, retirement planning, financial planning in general. And if you're interested in any of these topics and you want to learn more, put a comment down below. I'm looking for new ideas to make new videos. So let me know what you want me to do next, and hopefully you'll come back and watch those videos. Thanks so much. Have a great day.